Hi guys, Silver Sprout here. I will be running in this test a bunch of Husk Crabs. We have a team of 5 Husk Crabs here. This is kind of people's preferred pet at the moment for 90 taming. They're a good pet overall. They have high base damage and high base armor. And then pretty high base hits as well at 170, 175 at the base. They're really good pets for increasing user damage because they get rid of the armor of the opponent. And then they also cause bleed when they're fighting a non-armored foe or something that they crush their armor on. So the crabs are spec'd for DPS, all damage, all dex, except for the tank crab, which is all hits and all resist. And then the upgrades are all for damage, except the survival trait. I take the survival trait on all my pets, so yes, it does reduce damage by 10% for each of their hits, but at least they can stay alive. 10% better than they would otherwise. Actually, let's look at that. Yeah, it is 10% for the damage increase. I just like a decrease in damage so I can run harder dungeons and get hit by AoE, and it doesn't really matter. It doesn't affect me as much. Alright, let's get this started. We have our regular iron Warfork, or exceptional Warfork, excuse me. And then we have the same build as with the apes to keep things consistent. Alright, let's go. Start the test. And I have ran these already, and they come to be about 63 DPS, or at least in my last test. They did pretty good. I think I had a good run with them versus some I've had in the past with the crabs. Of course there's range for everything, you know, some Blood Ape tests they're about 68 DPS and then others are 75, and that's highly dependent on the weapon you use and you know, what mobs you choose to disarm, so on and so forth. I think the best thing about finding different pet teams to use is that role players are pretty happy about it. You know, you don't have to use crabs to be a good farmer. So crabs are exceptionally well against magical mobs with low armor because they already do an increased amount of damage at the beginning of the battle. So this guy has 0 armor, so these guys are doing a ton of damage. We shouldn't use the disarm there, but we'll get another. It's fine. We'll go ahead and save our disarm for the next mob, just so we can kill it real fast. It's always a pleasure fighting the ground demons with Husk Crabs, just because they deal with the physical AoE much better than most other mobs or creatures. The only problem is when he does like tons of magical damage. It's not too often that they do that. We're gonna save disarm for the next demon here. crabs do well when they're above 50% health. They get a bit of a bonus for their damage, I believe, or maybe accuracy. Same with the tank, he does better at damage and accuracy when they're above 50% health. So keep him healthy. Same with the tank, he gets a melee defense increase and armor increase when above 50% health. Oops, well, that didn't work out. It's alright, I'm gonna get through this. From doing disarm, use it on the demon. 5 seconds. Oops. I'm gonna save her disarm for the bigger guy over there. We don't want to hit the dark water at the very last second with it. Oh, we missed. That does happen. So if you did watch the ape video, you probably noticed the difference between the attack speed between these two monsters, the Husk Crabs and the apes. Husk Crabs do have larger numbers overall, but they just don't hit as quickly. Oh, don't drag us. That guy's bad about dragging us right into the operator. They still have cards on test. We want to heal our crabs because they're getting hit by too much AoE. Want them to be as strong as possible here. Alright, they're fully healed. All good. shield here. Hopefully both fen demons are back over here. Sometimes they don't respond, or respond fast enough. Oops. That's weird. Poison again. There we go. That blocks the heal. Oops. Almost healed the demon. So we hit all the same mobs. We're just gonna run out. So this is pretty consistent with the crabs, with all of my other tests. Using the same build. Comes out to be around 60 DPS overall, on average. Alright, we're gonna stop here. Alright, so in conclusion here, our test came to 58.63 DPS, and that's not bad at all, honestly, for one slot pet. You know, at 120 taming and lure, that's what, 60 points total that you'd put in animal taming and animal lure. Most times you may want to get rid of tactics and then bump up herding a bit, but at 120 herding, 80 arms lore, 0 tactics with black cats, I was consistently getting 59 DPS. So is there any point in going to 120 if you're wanting to do higher damage? Not really. They're more for PvP, I think, the higher level taming pets, but crabs are decent in PvP as well if you wanted to use them. The Blood Apes, they're higher DPS overall in all dungeons so far that I've tested for player versus monster, but they're not great in PvP because they do have pretty low wrestling and they don't have any sort of hamstring ability like the Husk Crabs have. They can cause bleed, which is nice sustained damage, but it doesn't hit as often as you'd probably want in PvP situations. Alright, that includes my video for the crabs and the apes. Please feel free to watch both and make comparisons. On this run, special damage is a little bit lower. We didn't proc as much, so that will lower DPS a little bit as well. So just keep that in mind when going through these results. Alright, have a good one, guys.